Salutations everyone. So with the next patch of 8.3, there is of course the final boss of not only the patch, but the very expansion of Battle for Azeroth. And Nzoth, our favorite corrupted keyhold old god, is on the menu. However, there has been a pattern within Battle for Azeroth, excluding G'huun and Unnat, where the final boss is not killed permanently and lives on another day. Today we're going to talk about whether or not Nzoth will escape his fate. Spoilers are on their way, my friend, so be warned. So a little while ago we got a leaked cutscene of Nzoth trying to convert the player completely to his side, only to be blasted by a Kamehameha from the Heart of Azeroth, wielded by the player. It cuts to black after beaming down on our favorite spiky boy old god, and his fate remains a mystery afterwards. So in context, we don't know when this cutscene takes place quite yet, but I would wager it happens around 50% or 5% of the boss fight. I'm leaning towards this being closer to the end, as this cutscene gives me a similar feeling to the Rescue of Bane cutscene, where it jumps to Jaina teleporting them out of Orgrimmar, to then cutting to the group being teleported to Thunderbluff, in the in-game cinematic style we're also familiar with. So I will give my guess that we blast him with our Heart of Azeroth at the end of the fight, and that'll lead us directly into the end cinematic, where Nzoth's ultimate fate will be revealed. And we already know from the looks of not only Shadowlands, but also dialogue from other characters, that Nzoth is defeated here, and the old god's grip on Azeroth has apparently been broken. But how does Nzoth get defeated exactly? I'm going to wager that the Heart of Azeroth blast we just did to the avatar of Nzoth did a number on the old god, but didn't full-on kill him. It's important to note that in the notes it talks about how close Nzoth is to fully corrupting Azeroth, and my guess is after surviving that blast, he'll have something to say to us, or he's gonna keep trying to take Azeroth despite his broken state. Either way, I do think that the Blade of the Black Empire that Azshara gave to Wrathion will play a crucial role in the finale of the raid. Oh yeah, about that. So Azshara had planned to use the dagger to end Nzoth's reign, which she got from Sylvanas, as the two made a bargain with each other. Sylvanas gave her the dagger so that she could put an end to Nzoth, and in turn, Azshara was supposed to kill us. But we were far more powerful than she had anticipated, and ultimately, she failed in her task in killing the Corruptor. Now, I'm not sure if the Blade of the Black Empire's purpose is killing old gods. In fact, I'd argue that its only purpose is to imprison or contain old gods. But then again, Wrathion found out through his notes that the Void is capable of harming itself apparently. So who knows? And so our favorite matured dragon boy Wrathion, realizing this without consulting us, will probably stab Nzoth with a dagger and ultimately bind him to it or kill him with it. Either route realistically does mean Nzoth's defeat, and the final active old god is now no longer connected to Azeroth. This coincides with what Magni states after the raid, that Azeroth is finally free from the old god's madness. Whether that is true will remain to be seen, as it's very possible Magni might have a hard time discerning whether or not Azeroth is truly freed. It also doesn't help that Illyria is also getting more whispers now in the place of Nzoth. These are new whispers, and they're in multitude, almost like a chorus as far as she phrases it. I'm going to go with Azeroth is free from the old gods, but I do imagine all those years will leave some trauma on her. So I think that Nzoth will have two potential fates by the end of the raid. The final remaining active old god that is still attached to Azeroth has been vanquished, either by the Heart of Azeroth or the Blade of the Black Empire. This, however, does not mean Nzoth's total end, possibly. The other old gods, despite being killed by us, were still active beyond the grave. Cthulhu was still active in the comics after his death, and this was regarding the whole situation with Medan. Although we don't want to talk about it, of course, some of the events in the comics were canon, and it did help explain Cho'Gall's new design. Y'Shaarj, while killed by Aman'Thul, was still active through the Shah in Pandaria, and that was accomplished while he was barely a beating heart. And Yogg-Saron, while killed by us in Ulduar, was still causing trouble during the Legion invasion. It all really depends on if killing Nzoth and Ny'alotha, or with the Blade of the Black Empire, means a permanent end. Honestly, I don't think it does. I think we might see Nzoth and the other old gods again, whether they are truly dead or not. Something I honestly theorized, and many others did as well, was that Nzoth would be absorbed right into the Blade of the Black Empire, similar to how his sister Xal'atath used to be. It does make the most sense for this to be the true end for Nzoth, as it allows him to be a depowered, re-imprisoned, but also still active old god. This probably is what Nzoth wants for some reason as well, since he is fully aware of our plan to use the various Titan facilities through Raudenn, and also was the one who showed us the betrayal that Azshara did to him by allying with Sylvanas. It's also important to note here that Nzoth also claimed Xal'atath, or the Blade of the Black Empire, for his own purpose, saying that it would serve his will all the way back in 8.1.5's Crucible of Storm cutscene, where Xal'atath, is reawakening Nzoth, and they do that whole deal. Wrathion is very prone to acting on what he thinks is best, and while he's matured, we've talked about how he is still in the mindset of Azeroth first and the people who live there second. My biggest worry, though, is by him holding onto the dagger, he'll eventually become what was shown in Ny'alotha, a second Deathwing. Maybe rather than Wrathion alone keeping watch over the dagger, it'll be all Dragonflight leaders to bear this burden, thus preventing a single dragon leader from falling under the same fate as Neltharion, Ysera, and Nozdormu. Unless Nzoth pulls a Xal'atath and can just poof right out of there immediately, I do think he'll be underwatched by somebody. For the sake of all sanity though, do not put him in the Nexus, Violet Hold, or any of Azeroth's actual prisons. Those places are ridden with bad luck. Just don't do it. Bad places. Bad prisons. They suck. Now sure, it's possible that Nzoth might have not seen this particular fate coming, but given how much knowledge the guide has demonstrated, I really doubt it. Yeah, he sees only half-truths, but it does seem like he saw this as a possible outcome, and the dagger would be a much better fate than getting killed like his siblings, where they could do very little. Nzoth is the Corruptor, and he is probably the most famous for using others to get his goals launched, and Xal'atath is very similar in that regard. My main and biggest concern for all of this is too many characters within Battle for Azeroth didn't die, and in most of those cases, such as Jaina and Azshara, I'm glad they didn't. At the same time though, it does feel a bit demeaning for a raid boss you just defeated to escape or live on another day, just to cause issues again later. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see if Nzoth will die, be sealed away, or a completely different fate that none of us are guessing by the end of the raid. Ultimately though, I don't think this is the last we've seen of the old gods, especially with the game's story focusing more on the cosmology chart going forward. But what do you guys think? Nzoth will be active after BFA, or is he done for? Let me know in the comments below. Go ahead and give this a like, give it a share, and well, if you didn't like it, I suppose give it a dislike, I guess. Ring that blasted bell if you want to get notified about this channel. Come and join me on the Discord, we would love to have you more for more discussions. Maybe follow me on Twitter to hear me more often, join me on Twitch to see me play the video games. Reforge is probably soon, so keep an eye out for that. Or maybe support me on Patreon. A little help goes a long way, and I greatly appreciate it. All those in the description down below, as well as some other things. But until next time, my friends,